Welcome to Lifted, a podcast where we talk about all things health and fitness for busy working mums and women who are trying to navigate their way around parenting, work and relationships whilst wanting to prioritize their own fitness and body goals. We'll explore ways to help you achieve and maintain a lean, strong and sexy physique that is essential for helping you carry out your day-to-day tasks without burnout. We'll talk about relationships, self-love, and even dive into the mindset side to help you shift your perception, change your paradigm from one of inability or lack of to one of pure abundance and endless possibilities to enable you live your best, healthy, and fit life, being the best version of you that you can be. I'll share my journey as a bodybuilder and talk about everything it's given me in terms of achieving a strong mindset and a will that's totally unbreakable. I am your host, Carol West, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to today's episode. Hello everyone, and welcome yet again to another episode of Lifted. On this episode today, I am going to be talking you through what to expect when you set off on your journey to a body transformation. So there's certain aspects of things that you need to bear in mind when you decide that you finally got yourself to a place where you're ready to have a good body transformation and completely change your physique into one you aspire to have in terms of bringing out more muscle or achieving that nice toned look that a lot of people talk about when they think about getting help to help them achieve a good toned physique. Now, the first port of call, as we all know, is to try and get yourself a coach. Based on what I've said previously, you need to do your own research when it comes to trying to find a coach. Some of the things to think about when you're deciding to get a coach is to factor in things like what the coach that you're seeking, what their experience is in the field of body transformations. And you can easily do that these days by literally just scrolling through their socials. So anything on Insta or Facebook or any other platform that they use to advertise themselves and their services is a good starting point, because that will give you a good idea of what sort of people the said coach deals with and what sort of a service they offer as well. Now, it's very hard in this day and age of Photoshop to know what is real and what isn't. But I would say go with your due diligence and try and figure out by how the coach comes across when you reach out, how they communicate with you. You will kind of get a good feel of whether or not you two can be a good fit. A good coach is one that will listen to your point of view and take into account everything that you have told them in terms of what you want to achieve. A good coach will give you the knowledge that you need to take you through everything that you need to go through in a healthy and sustainable way. A good coach will have all the knowledge that is necessary, and even if they don't know something, they will be able to go away, research it and get back to you. So an honest person, somebody who actually knows what they're talking about when they're talking about things to do with health, fitness and nutrition. So it always helps, say, if the coach has got nutritional background behind them, because we all know that fitness and nutrition go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. They both work together for you to help you achieve that really good look that you're looking for. So if that coach is just basing everything on the training side and not really offering much when it comes to the nutritional side, or isn't giving you that sufficient knowledge that you need to make sure that going forward you will have something there for life to help you achieve, maintain and sustain your goals, I would say that's a red flag, because you most likely going to be given a copy and paste program that would appear one size fits all when it comes to these state coaches. So again, it's very important that you are able to do your own research and figure out what sort of person that you're able to relate to. Again, going back onto their socials, it's very easy to see based on their posts, how they come across in their posts, what they're putting across. You will be able to gauge whether or not this is somebody that you would actually be able to work with well. But ultimately, it comes down to the communication side of it. So eventually, you will have to either DM them, and then hopefully they will be able to get back to you and maybe get you on a call. And then from that call, you will be able to make your mind up on whether or not this is somebody I want to work with. Personally, if I was looking for a coach, I would want to have a coach that doesn't just preach, but actually looks like what they preach. It would be a bit off-putting, and that's just a personal thing. Everybody has got their way of viewing these things, and I'm not imposing my thoughts and ideas on anybody else. But my feeling is, if you're going to coach me into achieving a really good toned and nice athletic-looking physique, I would want you to at least look fit. You don't have to be ripped or anything like that, or shredded or massive in terms of having loads of muscle, but you have to be carrying with you like a good fit look, so that it reinforces the fact that you actually do what you preach, and what you preach actually works because you have been able to maintain that sort of physique yourself. So again, it's a personal preference. Everybody has got their way of thinking about these things, and this is me, and that's how I feel about that when it comes to choosing a coach. Now then, so once you've decided, you've done your due diligence, you've done your research, you've reached out to the state coach, and they've got back to you, and you've started off communicating, and you feel like this person is actually the right person for me. I feel like we could work together well. You then have to also have in mind that honesty plays a big part in a successful client-coach relationship. So when you get yourself to that point where you're in the program with the state coach, and your plans have been rolled out, and you are ready to go and begin your transformation journey, you also have to bear in mind or understand that this is not going to be linear. It's not going to be a straightforward path, because as we all know, things get put in our way in the life that we lead on a day-to-day basis. So you will not have all days where you flourish, or where you just you attain your goals for the given week or whatever. You will have weeks where you really don't do well and your check-ins aren't that great. Now, for anybody who's new to online coaching, it is quite different to like a one-to-one personal trainer experience, say, for example. The biggest difference being you will not be seeing your coach. It's something that's done online, and all your programs will come through, say, an app where you can access all your exercises and where you get all your nutrition meal plans and any other information that you will need on your journey as you start your transformation program. So once you have established the fact that you're happy to go ahead and have the coach, you will then get to a point where you're on a roll with things, and probably the first couple of weeks are really going to be just for you to settle into a new routine, knowing when you're supposed to be eating, what you're supposed to be eating, prepping your meals, and knowing exactly when you're supposed to be training, and how everything ties in with everything else. So it's very unrealistic to expect to see big changes on those 2 weeks, because really your coach is also just getting to know you, getting to have that conversation or communication going back and forth, and you're trying on the other side to actually make get yourself to a position where you know what you're doing, because there can be quite a lot of information to take in terms of how you're supposed to be preparing your meals, what you're supposed to be eating, whether or not you're counting macros or you've got a set meal plan. So all these things come into play, and it can be quite a lot to take on. So it is unrealistic to expect a significant change. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, especially if you go in on the heavier side. Those first 2 weeks, if you stick to plan as you've been asked to, you will find that you will lose quite a bit of weight to begin with, and most of that will not be fat. It will probably just be water weight that is coming off as you're cleaning up your diet and as you're getting moving a bit more, incorporating exercise and eating the right things for your body. So it is not it's not a bad thing if you find that you don't actually get a big change on those first 2 weeks, really, because, as I say, you're really just getting into the flow of things and getting to know what you're supposed to be doing, getting your head round the amount of things that needs to be, you're taking your boxes as you go until you establish that routine and those habits stick, and you get to a point where you're happy with everything. So then the third, fourth week is when we really want to see some sort of movement happening, and that's why it's very important to always be realistic in terms of what to expect when you sign up for a transformation program. Now, as I mentioned before, going back a little while ago, I said, it's not going to be linear. It's not going to be a straight line, because you might start off on those 2 weeks on a high. You're all pumped up to go because you've decided that this is it. I have had enough of feeling like this, and I really just want to make a change and, feel good about myself again, or get myself in a place where I'm happy with how I feel in myself and how I look when I look at myself in the mirror. Now, life is what it is. You get thrown curveballs sometimes, and you get, maybe when you get to the third week, say, something happens and it knocks you back a bit. It's not something out of the ordinary to kind of go off track a bit. And this is where the communication aspect of it is really, really important. Sometimes I find that clients will go into themselves if they find themselves on a week where they've messed up, they've not stuck to plan, and they know that they can't really check in because it will show. So for the check-ins, let me just go slightly back a bit. If you're new to online coaching, so because the coach isn't there with you on a one-to-one basis, face-to-face, we still have to monitor progress. And the only way we can monitor this progress is by asking you to check in with us, either maybe weekly. Some coaches do it weekly, some coaches do it fortnightly. So for us, we do it fortnightly. We just feel like it's the right amount of time to see anything significant, so that if anything is changing, we can consider changing it within those couple of weeks. But most of the time, really, we don't look to change things that, in that short space of time anyway. What we want to do is to make sure that we establish a good, nice routine of consistency and good habits being embedded in, so that we can see some sort of, there's a pattern and the graph is going a certain way before we get to a point where we feel like, okay, we've got to this point now and we're sticking a bit, so maybe we need to alter this and we need to change that. But it usually takes more than 2 weeks for that decision to be made. Bearing in mind, there's different clients who've got different preferences to things. So, we do encounter those who are not happy to stay on one plan for weeks on end. That is actually the best method. That's actually what works, and it's only necessary to change the plan. We're talking about the training plan in this case. It's only necessary to change it if we've got to a point where we feel we need to bring up some of your body parts more than others, or if we need to pull back on some of your areas of your body where maybe you feel like they're growing too much, and then we pull back. So we might just change your training program so that we're focusing less on certain parts and focusing more on others, depending on what we want to bring out. But ultimately, everything works together quite well, and it's all planned out in a way that it gives you that good balance both on the lower and the upper body when you're training, and it's all thought out quite well, so that you don't get to a point where you're growing more than others. The only way it can happen is maybe if genetically you're bigger in one area and not others. So then we'd have to look at that training plan and think like, well, she doesn't really want to grow any bigger in this area. Although like things like spot reduction isn't a thing really. So you can't just choose a place where you lose fat. But when it comes to building muscle, you can actually manipulate things a little bit so that you bring some parts up more than others, or you can pull back on some other areas just to make sure that you're achieving that right balance or what the client wants. So then communication is what I was going to talk about, or a while back. When you get to a point where you have hit a bump in the road and you don't feel like you can stick to plan, and you've gone off and you've had the bottle of wine, you've gone out with friends, you've done all that, and you know that it's not going to be a good check-in, and the check-in is where you actually have to weigh and measure yourselves and send those off to your coach for analysis and feedback. And this includes photos, because we have to see what you look like on each check-in. So we see that, is your waist coming in a bit? Are things moving in the direction that they're supposed to be moving in? And is this plan that we've given you actually working? Because don't forget that we are going in blind for somebody who's coming in new and we've not worked with before. So really, the first instance of things that you're given is roughly an estimate based on your basic metabolic rate, your activity levels, your nutrition, and where you're at really in terms of your weight and height, before we make an approximation of where the start point will be. We don't want to go in really hard and go in and just say like, right, we'll just whack you on the lowest calories possible and hope for the best. We still have to do these calculations to make sure that we've got like a rough estimate of what we think might work for you, and then analyze it after. So that first instance isn't really it's going to be one of those where we give you what we give you, see how the body reacts to it, and then make a decision on whether or not that is working or things are going in the right direction. If maybe 3-4 weeks down the road we don't see significant changes, then we think about, okay, maybe we need to up the cardio a bit, or we need to pull back this, that and the other when it comes to the food side of things. But nothing is done in excessive amounts. It will only be a little bit at a time, because we really want to focus on building muscle. When it comes to transformations, the most important thing is to build as much muscle as you can before you start stripping back, ideally, because, well, depending on what your start point is. So if you come in really heavy and you are desperate to get that weight off, then we of course will not put you on a surplus for muscle building, because that will defeat the whole purpose of everything. We will strip you back a bit before we then again start to build, and then strip back again. So the aim of the game, really at the end of the day, is to build muscle and maintain muscle tissue as best as we can, because muscle is your friend when it comes to body transformations and weight loss even. So that's when you hear things like, yes, I'm the same weight as I was last year, but I look nothing like that. You can be the same weight, but you can achieve completely two different looks on the same weight. So when you've got loads of muscle, you pull off such a good look, and it's because muscle is leaner and it's firmer, so you can still be the same weight. And this is why we don't really get fixated on weight, and we go with the reduction of, say, the waist, and how you're looking and how your clothes are fitting, because that is a good indication that things are going in the right direction. For us coaches, of course, we have to know what the weight is doing as well. It's a rough guide on whether or not, you've been doing things right, or whether you've been sticking to plan or not, because sometimes based on what you eat and what you do, your body will hold water. And then that's when we will know, based on the food that we're giving you, how that food is reacting with you. We will know. And if you have not stuck to plan, we will also know. So when you're there saying to us that, yes, I have stuck to plan and this is what I've done exactly and this is what has happened, whilst before things were moving in the right direction, and then all of a sudden it's going completely the other way, unless it's something to do with your hormones. This is for the ladies. And maybe it's your period week. Say, for example, you're bound to hold a bit more water than your normal days. Also, stress plays a big factor in your body holding on to water when your cortisol levels rise. And the small things that do come into play when we're trying to judge what might have happened for the weight to go really high up when it shouldn't really in those instances. So again, it's all about looking at all these factors when you're trying to guide a client through a body transformation. It's important for the client to understand that it is a slow process. It's not something that will happen dead quick. It's not something that you will achieve in a space of 4 weeks or 6 weeks without really going low on calories. I mean, anybody can lose weight just by slashing their calories in half even. And you can see significant changes. But what you will not achieve is that nice, good toned physique with a firmness to all over your body. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of people do aspire for that, or it's what they're looking for when they're going into a weight loss or fat loss program. And for body transformation, the most important thing is to make sure that the client understands the importance of building muscle. Now, I am going to touch on the muscle side a bit more, because sometimes when you mention muscle to women, they get scared. You mention weight training to women and all of a sudden they feel like they're going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger because they've lifted an 8-kilo dumbbell. That is not going to happen. And if it was that easy, it would be great, because for us bodybuilders, it will just mean like we don't actually have to push really hard. But for you to attain that level of muscle, it takes years. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of food. It takes a lot of upping and downing of calories to see where you're at in your muscle building journey. And yeah, it does take quite a lot for you to become that big, or to acquire the amount of muscle that you think you will get just by touching a dumbbell. It doesn't happen that way. And as I say, if it was that easy, it would be great. It would be lovely. But for me, the bodybuilding side is really it's a passion, because it's exploring how much you can actually achieve by really putting in the hard work and focusing on actually bringing out your physique to the best or it can be. And it's ever changing. There's no end to it with bodybuilding. You will never arrive at a point where you feel like, okay, this is as far as it goes, because there's always different things of doing things with weights. You can explore different training methods, different ways of doing your sets and your reps, say for example, and the tempo, and you're talking about slowing down or going fast for like finishers and stuff like this. So there is actually different ways that you can incorporate all this in your training, and but you don't get to that point until you master the basics. So you have to be very clear on knowing what good form is when you're lifting those weights. You have to understand what muscle you're working, when you're going through the motions and when you're lifting the weights and not just going through the motions. You have to understand the mechanics of the body, and you can't do this on your own. You need a coach. You need somebody to educate you on how things work together and how much more you can get out of your training sessions by doing certain things. They might not be massive things, but they're things that will help you, small pointers to help you get the very best out of each and every bit of your training session. So it's, for a lot of people who just think like, yeah, it's body transformation, I'll get a plan, I'll be sent off on my way and I'll just go through the motions and then I'll get my transformation and off a pop. And then you don't actually know how to maintain those results once you got to that point. You might get to a point where you actually achieve the results and you've done great, but how do you maintain them going forward? Will you go back to your normal, usual way of being? Will you be able to actually understand that the food you're eating is the nutrition that's needed to support your training and to give you those forever results, lifelong results that you'll always have. So much so that when you get to a point where you're lost or you veer off the track, if you will, you can get yourself back in because you'll have that knowledge behind you and you'll know exactly what to do and when to pull back and when to put the foot on the brake, on the accelerator. So it's all about working with somebody who can give you all this information, who can actually instill in you the confidence in knowing that you can go forth and, live your best life, really, knowing that you've got full control of your health and fitness. You know everything there is to know, although you can never stop learning. Things always evolve and things always move forward. But if you have somebody there that you can always have on call or on hand to help you with all this information, then it takes the hard work out of everything. You don't have to second guess yourself when you're doing this. You don't have to ask yourself, am I eating enough protein? Am I eating too much carbs? Am I fueling my body right for my training sessions? What am I meant to be eating before I train and after I train? How much food am I meant to be eating on days that I don't train? Small things like this all work together to give you that nice, rounded, fantastic physique that you're looking for. It's things like all other factors that affect weight loss and fat loss and building muscle. You want to think about your sleep, you want to think about your hydration, you want to think about your stress levels, you want to think about the intensity of your training, you want to think about the amount of food that's going in. Are you in a surplus or are you in a deficit? Do you want to build muscle or do you want to lose weight or lose fat? And all these things come into play, and everything is all done for you if you've got somebody there who's got the knowledge and is actually experienced and has walked the walk and knows what they're talking about. It takes the hard work out of everything. It takes the stress out of it. It must just be nice for somebody to tell you this is what you need to do and you go and do it. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do. We've got factors like family life and children and all the other things to consider when you're starting this journey. And you have to be able to fit this in with your lifestyle because it's not a diet. It really isn't. It's something that you incorporate into your life so that even your family can benefit from it, not just something that you're doing on your own. It kind of separates you from being involved with the rest of the family. It's not what it's about. You want to have something there that actually everybody can fit into it, especially down the road. Once you've got all the knowledge of what you're supposed to be doing and what you're supposed to be eating, it gets easier down the road. To begin with, yes, you might have to just have your own thing separate and not really be inclusive with the rest of the family because from the coach's perspective, those first 2 weeks are important for us to see what your body is doing. So you literally will have to be a bit stricter than you would going down the road, just so we see what your body is doing on a new program or a new plan. and how it's responding to what it's being given. So those first 2 weeks, as I say, are really just for learning. 2 to 3 weeks, seeing what your body is doing, getting into the swing of things, and establishing good habits and getting yourself into a routine, and hopefully being consistent through it. And then from there, we can start adding things on, and we can actually really get stuck in and focus on attaining what we set out to do. So body transformations are not just a fad. I know it's being thrown around these days a lot, and everybody does it, but for us at the Elevate program, it's not just something that you do in passing. It's not something that you do just as a one-off and then you go off and go back to your ways of being. It's about the educational side of it, letting you know why you're doing things a certain way, why you're eating what you're eating, what the food you're eating is doing in your body, and why it's important for you to eat that and not something else. For example, we don't obviously restrict what you can and can't eat, but we are very aware that what you eat is actually, it plays a big role in what sort of results you are going to get at the end of your transformation, and the best results are the ones that get the best nutrients from the food that's being consumed. So even if you go for the macro tracking as distinct from a set meal plan, you want to be tracking things that are actually full of nutritional value, so that your body can maximize the what it's getting in, and it can use that to the best effective way to achieve that really, really good look that you're looking for at the end of your transformation journey. So really quite a few things to think about on this one, but I felt like I needed to touch on this side of things because it's important for everyone who is aspiring to like have a change in how they look and to really feel good about themselves. It's all these little things that go into it, and it's not just about being given a meal plan and a training plan and doing it and then that's it. It's much deeper than that. It goes much further than that. Well, in Elevate's program anyway, that's our ethos, and we firmly believe that with that knowledge that you're armed with, you can live your life as best as you can, because you will have it there, and you will not always need us at the end of it. We will be there if you need advice or anything like that, but essentially you will have all that knowledge there to take away with you. So in terms of an investment on what it's supposed to do for you, it's supposed to give you lifetime results really, and you'll have that for as long as you go on with your life. You'll be able to navigate your way around different barriers and obstacles that come your way, and you will know what to do when you get to a point where you've veered off. You can get yourself back on track again because you'll know exactly what to do. So I have gone on a bit, but yeah, I do hope that's been helpful to anyone. And as always, if you do need support and help and you feel like you're stuck in where you're supposed to be fitness wise, and you really feel like you could do with some help from somebody who actually knows what they're doing and what they're talking about, please don't hesitate to reach out and drop us a message. My Instagram handle is @CarolWestCoaching. The links are in the bio, where you can go and click and view all the testimonials from our clients and everything else that we do on the Elevate program. It's all in there. So I hope this has been beneficial, and if it's something that you'd like to know more about, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll be more than happy to talk you through exactly what it is that we do. And hopefully, if you're a good fit for the team, you can come and join us. So thanks very much for listening and tuning in, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. And just before you go, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel so you don't ever miss any upcoming episodes. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Carol West Coaching. Are you interested in coaching or joining our team as a client? We offer photo shoot, body transformations, as well as bodybuilding competition prep packages. The team at the Elevate Health and Body Transformation Program are ready and waiting to help you achieve and maintain your dream physique. Whether you're looking to step on stage or just want to do it for yourself, you can send us a DM and we'll get you on the road to achieving a lean and fit physique. Bye for now.